But that time was a little bit of a difficult, but now we know. All right. Jesus. Okay, here we go. Tuesday. It's Chris Moran. Hola. Double Shot Tuesday. There's Steve Evans. Charles with you. We got some GG Top double shot coming up. Double Shot Tuesday with Charles. 420 coming up. Everyone's going to get stoned. Smoke them if you got them. Take it easy. If it comes easy, take it twice. Oh, there we go. East Providence police looking for someone. Hit and run. 7 o'clock Newport Avenue. Black female wearing scrubs. New model Chevrolet Trax SUV. Let's find her. Missing woman out of Stoughton. Let's see what else. It's Mosquito Day. All right, folks, we're live in just a moment. That story out of Coventry, I think they should have a press conference. I think so. Talk about how frightening it is. My goodness. Wow, there are lessons there. Big time. Folks, we are live in 1 minute. Yes, Road Patrol later. Last night was a good episode, wasn't it? Let me also, for those that watch RPL, the element of losing sound, that is a Facebook thing. They're constantly improving the app. They're trying to update the app. I'm not doing anything wrong. It is odd, I admit. Out of nowhere suddenly, we're like losing sound. But anyhow. All right, we are standing by. JR will give us the go ahead. And there it is at 12:06. Is that the sun I see? I think it is. Folks, the sun breaks out on this sunny Tuesday. Not for long, though, as I look at my weather app. Cloudy the rest of the day. Now, hold on. Who said sunshine Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Probably Chris Moran. Folks, good afternoon. This is the Real News at Noon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show. Now, I'll run down the list. AM 1380, 99.9 FM. On AM 1380, flamethrower, especially if you're in your car. 99.9 FM, north of Providence. So now, we are also, I'm looking at, there I am, live on X, and then we're also live on YouTube, and then, of course, our Facebook faithful that are big fans of the program. So, hold on, let me just see this. For tonight, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, Senator Chuck Schumer, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Senator Tammy Duckworth, Senator Bernie Sanders, Governor Michelle Grissom, second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. Who the hell is that? That's the guy married to Kamala Harris. I want to talk about last night. We have a lot of news to get through during this News at Noon, the Real News at Noon. Folks, this portion of the program, let me stay on schedule. How about, boy, Raimondo Not a big. What a brutal. And the local media won't tell you that. I'll tell you that. Last night was a disaster for Gina Raimondo. I can only imagine. She must have had a meltdown after that. But Commerce Secretary, folks, this portion of the program brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Who said locally sourced vegetables? I did. Sweet corn, native tomatoes, they have it all. Located 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Hanging pots, hanging patients, large selection of beautiful patio pots, vegetable plants and herbs. Now, when you're coming back from many of the South County beaches, they're right off of Route 4, right near Tarbuck's Toyota. PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. They're open 7 days a week, full-scale nursery. They're fantastic. Stop in and see them. And then we do have some updates on DePietro.com. Coventry Nightmare, which is, and also I posted the road patrol from last night just because, well, at least part of it. It was pure action from beginning, and then listen, I'm good for like 2 hours. When you start to go beyond that, now if I'm at a scene, I have proven I can go for many hours. But after a while, and we started early last night. So 226 Cohasset Avenue in West Warwick is the Cohasset Inn. Lunch, dinner, Anthony Santos drinks in the lounge. Don't forget the market at Cohasset, the Cohasset Inn. I want to start off. I will talk about the Coventry situation. The DNC last night. Anyone that's I think last night, and if this remains the tone, I think it's very good for Trump Pence. I've been pretty outspoken that I've been uncomfortable with the method of the type of campaigning they've been doing. I am encouraged. I had a very good conversation with someone from the Trump campaign, and who reminded me, excuse me, that the campaign, the race really, I mean, the campaign's underway. What I'm saying is where it really kicks in is after Labor Day, and then the debate that he's going to have with the VP. But last night, if you're watching that, I'm clearly not the target audience. I'll say that much. And they're all going nuts and clapping, and they totally screwed Biden. Can you imagine you're the president of the United States? And I was just laughing at the people. By the way, they bumped a bunch of people. James Taylor got bumped. Somebody else got bumped. There's a third person bumped. They can't even organize a convention, right? It went way too long. But you're the president of the United States, and you have to wait until 11:30 in the East before it's your slot to go on. And then, I get the whole in Chicago, it was only 10:30. Yeah, I get that. But you would think, listen, I'm the president. You're meaning you're Biden. I will attend. We're leaving afterwards. You guys have pushed me out. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi, and everything else. I will attend. But here's a heads up. I am walking on the stage to deliver my speech at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Well, Mr. President, we have, whoever the hell. No. Let me explain something. I'm walking on stage at 10 o'clock. Whatever you have, to play it on the safe side, at 9:59, clear the stage. And by the way, and again, what I'm really surprised at is like the Biden people would even allow that to happen in that manner. He is still the president. I can't believe I have to defend him, but they're so insensitive. Oh, okay, you can go on at 11:30. So, but see, that's Harris. That's who she is. Their idea was, oh yeah, we're going to put him on. Hey, the whole thing is to honor him, but he's going on as late as possible. We want him on stage past midnight. That was their goal. So ruthless. I'm surprised Jill Biden went along with that. They should have said Jill Biden's going to walk on stage at whatever, 5 minutes of 9:55, and then the daughter, and then he's walking on stage at 10 o'clock. And I think he should have said, listen, either I'm walking on stage at 10 o'clock or I'm going to walk on stage and accept the nomination, whatever blanking time you put me at. Now, we obviously didn't do that. But the one, see, I want you to understand, the one who had a horrendous night was former Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo. And this is where I push back against the local media. They try to tell you, oh, she's on the short list for VP. Not true. She had the big 60 Minutes piece. Raimondo is being considered for Treasury Secretary. No, she's not. No, she's not. There's no love between Vice President Harris and Gina Raimondo. And by the way, I'm not taking sides against Raimondo. I'm just telling you what's reality. Harris views her, and I'm not saying she's wrong, by the way. VP Harris views Gina as a threat, as someone who's very ambitious. She thinks that she would stab her in the back with Biden. She did not want her part of the cabinet. She gloated that she was selected as VP. For the local media, and the Providence Journal was leading the charge. Could Gina Raimondo be the VP? Raimondo floated out, well, maybe there should be 2 women on the ticket. Do you think Harris actually liked that? And then the local media of saying that, well, she may be Treasury Secretary. Well, let me ask you this. If she was seriously being considered for Treasury Secretary, would you put her on the first night following some state senator from Michigan and before the governor of New York? Does that sound like someone that you would be considering for a high-level position within your cabinet? I'll answer the question. No. You would give her a prime time slot. And Raimondo last night, now I have covered her, I realized, for 15 years. And you could get to read someone. The crowd wasn't listening. She was boring. Whoever helped her craft that speech, or maybe they don't care. Maybe they know they're cooked. Whoever helped her craft that, it was so stale. Raimondo, she walks out, this tan white woman. Is there anything wrong with that? No, except you're at the DNC where it does matter. And in a very expensive outfit, and starts saying that her father lost his job back in the 80s. It was as if you were watching the DNC from 10 years ago. I can't imagine being there. And they're all going crazy for when Harris walks on the stage, AOC giving that voice. But what Gina Raimondo and others need to recognize is the crowd, they loved Harris. They loved AOC. They may tolerate Raimondo, but the crowd is not with her. Definitely not. And I want to maintain, you would not give her, if you were seriously considering her, you wouldn't have given her such a lousy slot. Now, in fairness to the Harris-Walz campaign, she didn't deliver. She had one short 5-minute speech to give, dragged it a little long, wasn't a lot of applause, and then blew the line for one of the centerpieces that Harris has laid out that I want to play. So, and then she had to go, Commerce Secretary Raimondo had to go on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it, today to correct her mistake. Here was the line that she blew last night.
More than 100 middle-class Americans a tax cut.
Hold on, let's hear that again.
Harris will give more than 100 middle-class Americans a tax cut.
Yeah, does that sound like a big number? Kamala Harris will give 100 Americans a tax cut. I think you forgot some zeros there. Sec or Gov, Gina.
Middle-class Americans.
Oh, middle class.
Kamala Harris will give more than 100 middle-class Americans a tax cut.
Well, if you cut to, and depends on the coverage, if you saw some of the coverage, the Harris people went like, oh my God, what is she doing? She's sabotaging us. No, it's not 100 middle-class Americans. Commerce Secretary Raimondo. It is 100 million. First of all, it's never happening. It's never happening. But my point is, she blew the line. She absolutely blew the line. How do you think that went over with the Harris people? Of their reaction is she can't do anything right. Biden wants her to speak. We don't want her to speak. We give her this slot, and then she gets up there and blows the line. I mean, it's just not happening. Where did I see she had to take to Twitter today. Kamala Harris will give middle-class Americans a tax cut, build 3 million new homes. Well, that's not what you said last night, Gov. That's not what you said. Excuse me, Madam Secretary. I'll say this. I mean, the local media, they're loyal to her. I get that. If you're Raimondo, she envisioned at some point that she would be at the convention accepting the nomination, delivering the speech and everything. They need to retool. And I hope we get a chance to speak to Dan McGowan this week, because I just thought of something. She needs to, it's interesting, Raimondo, the speech was so stale, and she's kind of running a campaign from 20 years ago. And I mentioned that with, for Gina Raimondo, she thought a big deal was that she was getting expose on 60 Minutes. But 60 Minutes is not what it was from years ago. 60 Minutes is, who watches 60 Minutes anymore? I think just mostly a lot of older people. So Raimondo, then, and in the 80s, and when she's giving her speech, and you can hear it coming up next hour, but the crowd, she's lost the crowd. They're all talking amongst themselves. Compare the crowd reaction to when Commerce Secretary Raimondo spoke and then when AOC spoke, and it is night and day. Would I ever vote for AOC? No. I don't. By the way, I don't get their whole platform. I thought these are people that want to reach across the aisle. I thought these are people that want to unite the country. Everything with this crowd is fighting. We're fighting and winning. We're going to fight. We're constantly fighting. Why are the Republicans considered like the violent party? These people can't give a sentence without using the word fight. I've never heard anything like this. I don't remember, Reagan never talked about fighting. This whole thing of the fighting and AOC, I mean, the whole thing is a disaster. But the way they screwed Biden, I mean, that was something. No wonder he and Jill bailed out of there. Totally bailed out of there. Not that anyone was trying to stop them. Folks, this portion of our program, I want to remind you, if you're having any type of foot problem, I'm going to talk about Coventry in just a moment, because it's very important. And then there's also something playing out with this Anastasia Williams that I want to tell you about. Folks, Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists. Call them today, set an appointment. As you're listening or watching on this Tuesday, do you have a problem with your feet or ankle? Call Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists, 401-949-3220. They're located right in that beautiful Smithfield Medical Center, Route 5 in Smithfield. Beautiful building, ample parking. 3 board-certified podiatrists. They take all health insurance. Foot pain is not normal. Foot pain is not your cross to bear. Foot pain is not God's will. Foot pain can be eliminated. It totally kills your quality of life. Whether it's a skin condition, bunions, hammer toe, plantar fasciitis, maybe it's a sprain or a fracture. Digital x-ray on site. Folks, Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists. Call today. You can also find them online, greenvillefoothandankle.com. Call 401-949-3220. Now, also, they specialize in custom foot inserts, and they're doctors. Don't just go to a kiosk or a pop-up store that says, yeah, we'll send you an expensive foot insert, and you're being sold that by a 22-year-old clerk that dropped out of CCRI Lincoln. Folks, Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists. Call today, 401-949-3220. Now, this story out of Coventry, which the Coventry police are going to speak next hour and give interviews on it. I have been talking about it. We were aware of it. It happened. They arrested him very quickly. But I do like to use this platform and our radio audience, and also obviously our video audience, to also they should be more alerting the public on this. I think if we had any real leaders in the state, which we seemingly don't, but if we did, I think they'd be making a bigger deal out of this, because and I like how people do appreciate that we capture a lot of the crime that's out there. But this situation that has emerged, the story that happened, because there's a real lesson here. And the lesson is the individual, this woman who, again, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that she did anything necessarily. I'm not blaming her, or that she did necessarily anything wrong. Oh, by the way, let me just also mention, if you were watching Road Patrol last night, we started at the Dollar Tree store on Killingly. And then as I started to pull away, there was the box truck. So we've learned more that was someone stole the work truck, and then it was a screwdriver fight that started in Johnston. So what we covered last night was both elements of that. But this Coventry situation, I believe that it should absolutely be a larger story to warn people of the dangers. So this woman on Saturday night, she is at Wendy's in Coventry. She's 80 years old. Her husband is hospitalized, so she's alone. She starts speaking with this man that's chatting her up. And what we've learned is he then followed her home. So she volunteers. Here's the part. This woman's 80 years old. The way I understand this story, because they've been, but so she's at a Wendy's and he starts chatting with her for whatever reason, or I don't know how he did. She's like, oh, okay. And she then starts telling him that she's 80 and her husband is hospitalized. And so in essence, so I don't know, he may have said, so you're home alone? Yeah, I'm home alone. Well, he follows her home and then kidnaps her, takes her car, followed home by a man she met at Wendy's. Folks, I know people are lonely. And I know that sometimes someone would then there are people like that get chatty. Don't you understand? Rhode Island, Governor McKee has turned Rhode Island into a magnet for criminals and mentally ill individuals. You can't engage with someone who just starts chatting with you at Wendy's and volunteers such information. So he follows her home. Let me just go through the whole thing. First, he meets this woman online, steals a car. He realizes he's got to get rid of the car. He starts speaking to an 80-year-old woman at Wendy's and learns she's presently living alone. Husband was hospitalized. So then he knew, okay, so she's going to be home alone. Oh, I just came from the hospital. Yeah, so he's there. I'm home alone. I got to go see him tomorrow. That's all that guy needed. What I'm saying is they should be, there's often press releases about elderly being scammed. You got to be very cautious of volunteering that type of information. So I know the woman, probably lonely, upset. Oh, this nice man started chatting with you. No, he was looking for his next victim. He found her. He brought her to Smithfield, dumped her, tightened a belt around her neck. He thought he had, I don't even like saying, but he thought he had strangled her. Then he thought, I have to get a shovel and then I'm going to bury her in Smithfield. Now the woman wakes up, thank God, gets up, wanders away, and then goes for help. He goes back there and then they pick up on the vehicle, her vehicle. So he assaulted her, put her in the back of her own car, And then he's driving her car to take her life. He's then going to use her vehicle and drive back and kill the girlfriend in Ohio. My point is, she knocked on a door. She was helped and taken to Rhode Island Hospital. She stumbled out of the woods. Lacerations, possible fractured skull. So severe she had no white left in her eye. So then where does he go? He goes back to this woman he met online who was living in Providence. Folks, what is with this? He was arrested for the same thing in 2000, 2011, 2021. There's several things here. Number one, this nutcase meets this woman online. Let me back up to that part. Matter a couple weeks ago, state of Ohio, girlfriend took an insurance settlement. He assaulted her, then fled with the car he stole from a family member. That car was later found in Woonsocket. Prosecutor said the woman he met online got him to Burrillville. He stole another car from Pat's Auto Service. Who's a woman that's meeting this nutcase online and then drives him to Burrillville where he steals another vehicle? He took that blue Impala. He was going to return to Ohio to murder the girlfriend. But then he came up with the idea, I know what I'll do, is I'll steal another car, so I'll kill someone, take their vehicle, then that car I'll use. That's when then he's in the Wendy's or wherever looking for someone, looking for a victim. And then starts chatting. Who knows? Maybe there were a couple other people. He tried to talk to them and they just start back. What does he find? An 80-year-old woman. Oh, I'm tired. Yeah, I just left my husband in the hospital. I'm home alone. My God. And then the woman that he met online, he was going back to her house in Providence. That's when then the police caught him hiding. My point is, just to put a period on this, folks, my point is, I believe there should be, and I maybe I will reach out to like the Attorney General's office. You have to warn people. I mean, I try to warn people. What do we do at night? We do a show on crime. I do a show on crime. And what do? I get people that say, why don't you do some positive stories? This 80-year-old woman is lucky to be alive. Fractured skull. He was trying to strangle her to death. Drove to Smithfield in her own car. He went to go get shovels. He was then going to come back and bury her. Good God. And McKee's out in wherever the hell. Terrible. All right. By the way, if you are looking for a vehicle, check out Volare Motors. They specialize Volvo sales and service, quality, pre-owned vehicles, largest selection of Volvos in Rhode Island, located 1003 Park Avenue in Cranston, Volare Motors. And also, you can trade in your vehicle. 1003 Park Avenue in Cranston, right in the heart of the city. Great prices, great vehicles, great service. Volare Motors in Cranston, New England's #1 dealer in pre-owned Volvo sales and service. 27 years of specialized Volvo sales and service. And let me tell you about the two people you're going to deal with. First of all, you're going to deal with Paul Staskavich. Paul will, number one, treat you fairly. Number two, put you in the right type of vehicle. Now, he has all different types of vehicles. And you're going to deal with Stephen the mechanic, because they want to make sure that they're going to send you out with a vehicle that is good to go. They want you to then come back. They have consistent customers. They have people that will go to Volare Motors and they get a vehicle. And then maybe a few years later, they trade it in and they get another vehicle from Volare Motors because they realize they're going to deal with Paul. And if they ever have a problem, Stephen the mechanic, folks, Volare Motors, 1003 Park Avenue in Cranston. Now, I also just want to mention again about the DNC. And, there's pictures I could see online. There's pictures of the mayor of Pawtucket there, and they're all excited, folks. And this Race to the White House DNC update is brought to you by Propane Plus. Call them today, 401-885-4209 in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. As I was I didn't obviously watch the whole thing. I mean, to me, it's almost impossible to watch it. I find it, but I was watching thunderous farewell to Biden. I I believe if you're on the fence, if you were watching last night, the hostility, the anger, as I'm looking at this, I'm very disappointed by the headlines on the Drudge Report. I normally like the Drudge Report. I have for a very long time. Haley voters rally behind Kamala. I don't believe that. Ex Nikki Haley voters rally. I don't believe that. Why are they putting something like that? The Obamas tonight. DNC quietly downplays stars. They don't want to overdo Hollywood. DNC emotions run high. Thunderous farewell to Biden. Hillary returns to the DNC. Reminder of unfinished business. Lock 'em up chants ring out. AOC was one of the stars of last night. And that's where then you have to realize. And then you got to realize all those union heads who, all the name calling. I was just, I've been to one, I've covered, I should say, one Democrat National Convention, 20 years ago. It was in Boston, and John Kerry was the nominee. And because it was so close, I covered that. But I mean, I could never go and listen to this stuff night after night. I could not. It's just too brutal. But I do want to see what Sunbelt's back in play. All right, I think that is interesting. We don't know if that's talking points, but I'm going to get to that, folks. This portion of our program, and I also want to talk about this whole thing with the voting locally, where you have someone that's making some accusations locally, and the media is kind of like playing right along with it. The Republican Party, for various reasons, are just silent. But I want to remind you, if you're looking to get your driveway paved, folks, J. Perry Paving, call them today for a free estimate, 401-732-1730, 401-732-1730, letter J. J. Perry Paving, high quality, fair pricing, exceptional service, free estimate for any project. Are you thinking of getting your driveway paved, a parking lot, patio? J. Perry Paving, free estimate, 401-732-1730. I want to see, because this could be false. This could be false. David Plouffe, senior advisor for Harris, said during an event on Tuesday, the vice president greatly improved the position ahead of November. Sun Belt battlegrounds are back in play. A month ago, I think it would have been hard for Democrats to compete in Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina to win. Now, this guy, he's very knowledgeable. He was with Obama in 2008. He said the election will come down to 7 key battlegrounds. What he's saying, we have work to do. 16 was super close. 20 was super close. 24 will be super close. State of play. Let's see. I don't know about that. And Donna Perry's coming up next hour. So on CNN, what I think, James Carville was on yesterday, and I know a lot of people don't like CNN, and I know that people just say, "Oh, fake news," like they don't watch it. I do like to flip to the other channels to see what they're saying. Granted, I can't stomach MSNBC. I just can't. But I find, like Scott Jennings on CNN panels where they'll have a Republican mixed in with some people that I think are pretty knowledgeable, right? David Axelrod is very knowledgeable. I think they have some pretty good people that just know politics. And something that Carville said, it was late yesterday, and he said, and I think this is a really good point, and say what you want. You don't have to like him. You don't have to agree with him. But the guy is very knowledgeable, Carville. He is. But he said that Trump underpolls. What does that mean? It means President Trump is one of those candidates that maybe the poll shows that he's at, just as a sheer example, 53%. According to Carville, he's more likely at 56 or 57. When a pollster calls someone, not everyone gives the answer. And Trump is one of those candidates that a lot of people, maybe an independent voter in a battleground state, they may be voting for Trump, but they don't want to tell a stranger on the phone, or they don't want to, sometimes polls are being texted. So they don't want to say that. So what he's saying is, if the Democrats are excited because they think the race is even, he believes, and I think this is an excellent point, it probably means Trump is up 3 or 4 points, because he was saying in 2016, they didn't poll enough late. In 2016, Carville said if they had polled some of those key states late, they were going off polls that were already outdated. If they had polled them late, they would have seen that President Trump pulled ahead in Pennsylvania. President Trump pulled ahead in Michigan. President Trump pulled ahead in Wisconsin. So, but the fact that he over delivers, that can be problematic. And there are different examples of that. Many years ago, there was a person of color, running for mayor of a large city, and then the polls showed that they were strong. And then when election day came, the guy got trounced. Why was that? Because the people answering the poll didn't feel comfortable saying they weren't going to vote for the mayor of color. So I think Carville is smart to point out that in many of these battleground states, it may show even, but that probably means that President Trump is up a couple points. But I think they're doing more damage. I think by the time this week is done, that I think it's hard to if you're an undecided voter and you're watching this crowd, this is not. I don't think it's a message you want going forward, and I don't think so. And it's just too much of a mess, frankly. And then who knows where this is going to go? And then the Obamas, of course, the faithful, they are loving it, the whole thing. I can't, like, the mayor of Pawtucket, Grabian, and McKee, like, you're standing there. AOC is on stage talking about Gaza. There was no talk about Israel. So here are some thoughts that I believe as the week goes along, I think these protesters are going to get more aggressive, and they're afraid of that. And I believe you're going to have the protesters are going to want to make a scene in the hall, and it's going to be for the Palestinians and for Hamas, and it's going to be anti-Israel. And I know, obviously, the Democrat Party is afraid of that, but this thing is live, and it's volatile, and there's a lot of different moving pieces to it. And I think if Trump Vance hone their arguments, this whole business of he's this and that, and I just don't think they're not recognizing that it's not gaining traction. That's not what it's about. I think the more they pivot to the issues and highlight the difference, I think it benefits the president. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by AJ Drywall Plasters Home Improvement. Call them today, 401-323-9252. Frame to finish basements, acoustical ceilings, new homes, additions, commercial rehabs, painting, remodeling. They do it all. AJ Home Improvement. If you're listening right now or watching and you're thinking of improving your home or business, call AJ Home Improvement, 401-323-9252. 401-323-9252. Maybe inside painting, maybe inside remodeling, maybe you have an unfinished garage or unfinished basement. AJ Home Improvement, free quote, 401-323-9252. Now, I do want to touch on this local story, and I'll say this. I have little to no patience for any some of these local Democrats that are starting to complain about mail ballots. I have been consistent that I don't believe that the Rhode Island Republican Party does enough to draw attention to the ballot harvesting and the problems that go along with all these mail ballots. And that said, therefore, I have no patience for individuals that are suddenly complaining about it, such as Representative Enrique Sanchez issues statement on mail ballots. See, these people don't mind gaming the system when they're the ones gaming the system. They just don't want anyone else gaming the system. As a state representative, it's my duty to inform my constituents of the following facts. First, a voter in our district has signed into an affidavit stating the phone number he listed on his mail ballot application was altered without his consent after he handed it over to the campaign team of my opponent. Second, there are 63 applications for mail ballots in our district, which the phone number is between 1 and 3 digits different from the number listed for the voter in question in the voter file. I encourage any constituent who has questions about the process of voter call, blah, blah, blah. So, Enrique Sanchez, who is by all accounts essentially, a socialist and a communist, suddenly they have problems with the mail ballots. Folks, as I have told you, one area, there have been opportunities to get rid of these mail ballots. And I want to be very clear. I have also said, I think the Rhode Island Republican Party at large have failed to hold a press conference. When they did have a press conference, what did they do? It was a total bomb. They talked about a book about Buddy Cianci in the early 80s. Total disaster. And that was when they had the press conference. You're not going to get a better opportunity than these criminal investigations. And it started last summer. It started last summer with the whole situation regarding the lieutenant governor, Matos. So suddenly now, Anastasia Williams, who's attempting to make a comeback, has filed a complaint to the Rhode Island State Police and the Board of Elections. You know what? Boo-hoo. Oh, yeah, she's so upset. I have no sympathy for these people. And, campaign signs are being taken, and there's a problem with the mail ballots, and they're illegally collecting mail ballots. I don't want to be a broken record, but I'm going to repeat what I have said. Where is the Rhode Island Republican Party as this stuff is going on? Folks, and especially right now, if you're listening, and there are so many people that ask, what would it take to get Trump to come to Rhode Island? And you have these people that are driving around with Trump signs on their cars and boats and standing with flags, but no one. It's just like, as I say, it's like having a kite flying club. There's nothing wrong with. There's a group of people that on the weekends you go to Beavertail in Jamestown, or you go to Brenton Point in Newport, and they get together and they fly these very elaborate kites. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not accomplishing anything other than, they get together and they have fun flying their kites in the wind. So, but this business of, it would begin with Rhode Island remains heavily Democrat. And one of the reasons why Rhode Island leans heavily Democrat is because of our voting. And nothing is done about it. Now, all of these accusations about mail ballots, and the only thing I believe at this point, and I play the clip. It was last summer, and the Senate Minority Leader, Jessica De La Cruz, there she is. She agrees to go on Newsmakers, and they handed her a gift. How confident are you in our election system now that we've seen that there's an investigation, They presented her with a gift with a bow on it. All she had to say was, based on what I've heard, I don't have any confidence in our voting system. Boom. Would have rocketed. Could have been a national story. But what did she say instead?
How confident are you in the overall integrity of Rhode Island's voting system? Not just signatures all the way through, of course, mail ballots.
I have faith in the system. If I didn't have faith in the system, then I wouldn't give the time that I do to running for office, because if the system is rigged, why do I even try? So I do.
I mean, I win. Folks, you don't get opportunities like that all the time. That was to me, and I've followed local politics a long time. That is one of the biggest swing and misses that they handed it to her. And by the way, I have faith. What are you talking about? Zero. Here's though what you can't ignore. What can't be ignored is the fact, and one of the reasons why, when President Trump talks about when we win, see, they want to use Congress and use the Senate, and this needs to be done. The only way I'm convinced now the Rhode Island elections will be fixed and reformed, it would have to come from on a national level. Because locally, look at what's happening now. All the Democrats are exploiting and cheating, and now they're running amok with the mail ballots. And now they're all fighting amongst themselves. These aren't even fights between Republican and Democrat. These are progressive fighting with other Democrat progressive. The mail ballot situation is out of control, as I have told you. But the whole theme with the Rhode Island Democrats is you just use it to your advantage. Like, who cares? The only reason McKee is governor is because of mail ballots. And now the game is, well, then you got to cheat to win. And everyone just accepts it. The only hope we have is that President Trump would be successful and say, that's it. We're reforming things. They were reforming things in Virginia. They were reforming things in Georgia. They reformed things in Florida. Many states, they have reformed the voting. Obviously, clearly not here, where this primary, you watch what's going to happen. The voting is too early. Mail ballots, you don't even need a signature. You don't even need a signature with the mail ballot. The only way this thing could be reformed, unfortunately, it's going to have to come from the Democrats. Because, and I don't come to this lightly, but I've given up on the Rhode Island Republican Party of fixing this problem. They don't even know how to fix the problem. It's like that scene in Moneyball when Brad Pitt was playing Billy Bean. It's like, what's the problem? Billy, I think we all know what the problem is. Fine. What's the problem? I said, you guys aren't even looking at the problem. You know what I was told 2 years ago? Ashley's going to ballot harvest. That is ludicrous. Fix the problem. Draw attention to the problem. When these things happen, and I want to be very clear, when these incidents happen, the Rhode Island Republican Party should be vocal, should be out there, should be demanding change and reform. It doesn't all happen at once. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by FenceRI.com. Now listen, on this Tuesday, maybe you're thinking of having a new fence put in. Call them, 401-732-0555. FenceRI.com, the premier fence and deck contractor known for quality, communication, and value. FenceRI. And remember, if you call them, maybe it's for you want more privacy, more security with all these nutcases running loose. $200 discount if you mention our show. FenceRI.com. They do wood deck construction, licensed and insured. I share their Facebook page. Folks, look for them. The most Rhode Island name and logo ever is FenceRI.com, and they have the picket fence over the state. 401-732-0555. Free quote, FenceRI.com. If you're listening on this Tuesday and you've been thinking, I think I will have a fence put in. Maybe it's because of a pet. Maybe a pool, or you just want security, privacy. call fenceri.com, 401-732-0555. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Well, you just don't get opportunities like that. And right now, you do have some individuals that are out there that, and they're all Democrats, that are all complaining about the mail ballots. But the only people that are complaining are Democrats. I don't hear it's funny. Another fan, I agree. Yes. Another fan of Road Patrol. Yes, we will be out tonight. When are you doing Cranston Street's Got Talent? This week we're going to do that. Yep, this week we're going to do that. I just want to double check here about I don't know if you're watching tonight. The only thing that is, it's kind of frightening when you're watching the actions of the DNC, Democrat National Convention, is the only thing about that is then you realize that the bulk of the people that run this Rhode Island and Massachusetts are there cheering them on. I mean, that's frightening. Let me just go through some of the headlines here. Rhode Island Department of Corrections Director Wayne Salisbury has agreed he paid $200, failing to disclose out-of-state travel. All right, they made a huge deal about that. Let me just see. It is interesting that that in other states, when the governor leaves town, someone's always in charge. So McGreed is going to be the governor, but he remains in charge. I think that's kind of interesting. The Harris campaign, what needs to happen is, and I want to be very clear, folks, at 12:54. After seeing just night one of this, I can't even, like, who sits there? There's nothing appealing about it. My God, if anything, it's dreary. All the talk of, oh God. But just so you know, and I know maybe you didn't see it, next time I'm going to play Raimondo's speech. She bombed. Gina Raimondo, I don't think, I mean, we'll see what happens over the next 4 years. A lot's going to happen. If Harris wins, then I mean, first of all, we're really in trouble. But I think, and it's not a matter of, Dan McGowan like say, I wouldn't worry about you. It's not like worry, but that was not a good night for Raimondo. I'm sure not what she thought it was going to be. So her speech was stale. It was unforgettable. You know what else? They also put her, the logistics of it, optics of it. They had the governor of New York on right after Raimondo, and nothing against that woman, Governor Kathy Houle, I think is her name, but she, it's another female. They're almost similar in age and dark hair. And I think the Harris people did that on purpose to have Raimondo totally blend in. But she didn't get them chanting. If anything, the crowd starts getting so loud when Commerce Secretary Raimondo was speaking, and they weren't getting loud cheering. They were getting loud because then they all just start talking among themselves. They had no idea who was on the stage. It was just a bomb. I don't think, first of all, I don't think Harris is going to win. And then I think what Raimondo will do will then make money over the next 4 years, and then she'll start plotting for 2028. But this narrative that somehow that they're, on the same page is not accurate in any way. Folks, this portion of our program, now maybe you're thinking of getting a new roof or siding, Royal Exteriors. Call Andrew today for a free quote at 401-533-9989. Royal Exteriors, where the customer is always king or queen. You deal directly with the owner, Andrew. Royal Exteriors. Look for them on Facebook, and then their website is royalexteriorsri.com. Right now, on this Tuesday, if you've been thinking, yeah, I think we'll get a new roof or new siding, Royal Exteriors, put them in the mix. Let them pitch you, give them a turn at bat. Their reviews are fantastic. Again, for your roof or siding, Royal Exteriors, call them today, 401 533 9989. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show. It is AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Yes, we'll be doing Road Patrol Live later, especially this week. I mean, I'm looking, the sun, it looks nice out now. God, these weather apps are brutal. Last night, all of a sudden it started pouring rain, and then it was supposed to be cloudy this afternoon, and now it's nice. Someone did ask me, who could they, let's see, Lisa. Lisa wants to get some of her trees trimmed and asked me, who did I recommend? Lisa, contact JD's Lawn Care and Tree Service, 401-441-0154. 401-441-0154. JD's Lawn Care. I also share their Facebook page. So coming up next hour on the radio show, Donna Perry is going to join, and we'll talk about, you'll hear discussion on the Democrat National Convention. I think you can't ignore the headline that what is going on, like these people have the nerve to talk about democracy and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, not only did they push Biden out, not only was it a coup, but on top of that, they even then pushed him as late as possible to get him to go on between 11:30 and midnight to just, because listen, the country still, runs on East Coast time. So, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. Yes, we will be live later. And then Donna Perry joins us next hour. Road Patrol Live later coming up. We'll bring you the latest and then more. Check out DePietro.com. That story out of Coventry, folks, I'm telling you, there should be more attention about that. This is a hint of things to come, that we are just under attack by criminals and undesirables. All right, we're back on the other side after the 1 o'clock news.